Hi, I'm Michael.
And I'm Grace.
And we're California Travel Videos.
And we're here today to talk with you about the second part of our guest speakers that were at the Escapers last week. And that's going to be Adventure to Alaska.
Way up north to Alaska. Way up north to Alaska.
So, to start that, we had Pau Hana Travels. Michael, can you tell us about them?
Yeah, Gary and Stacey, great people. They have a big Class A, and they have been traveling around the countryside here for the last couple of years, wanting to go to Alaska. And so their website is Pau Hana. That's P-A-U-H-A-N-A travels.com. Who else, Grace?
We also had David and Cheryl with Landmark Adventures. Michael will tell you where you can find them.
And sure enough, kind of like California Travel Videos, you'll find a lot of stuff. So they with landmarkadventures.net, N-E-T at the end, they have a huge class, well, not a class, it's classy, okay, but they have a fifth wheel, 41 feet, and they have a, let's see, F450 dualies on it, and it's a super cab. So yeah, they have a big machine to carry around their unit from Texas.
Okay, because everyone knows everything's bigger in Texas. So this was a talk that really got our attention because we've been wanting to go back to Alaska since we were there in 2015. We took a cruise ship and it was fantastic, but we didn't quite get in there with all the nitty-gritty things to see. What did you think?
It was great. I think it was about an 11-day tour, and as cruise ships will, you'll have a couple sea days, and then you'll have a day at the port. You arrive at 8, get off, go on your tour, back at 4 o'clock. The ship's leaving at 5. You don't want to miss it, or else you say goodbye as it goes into the sunset. So you don't get a chance to get that blue and golden hour photos or do some of the tours you want. We did go on a couple nice tours, but for sure, you are more restricted when you're on a cruise ship. So it whetted our appetite, and so we've decided that we want to go and do it right in an RV.
I know, I just can't wait for that. There's going to be so many opportunities to see things that we just didn't get that opportunity when we were there last time. I'm looking forward to a bear encounter of the first kind, but not too close, maybe. Anyway, so some of the things that were spoken about in preparation, one of the biggest things is to consider if you are going to Alaska and you're going to do it in an RV, think about what are your goals? What are the things that you're hoping to bring home with you? For Michael and myself, a big part of that is always photography. Some people might want more adventures, more sports. So we're going to tell you some of the things that we learned during this talk on how you can get the most out of your adventure.
That's right. So for me, be sure you allow yourself enough time. Sometimes it's just nice to breathe and take in the countryside when it's out there, not to have to be on a rush to go to the next point where we're supposed to be. If it's Tuesday, we're in Rome. If it's Wednesday and we're in Paris. No, take some time when you're there. And as we were told, is allow yourself some extra time because there's going to be some tours. Now here again, on your objectives, if you're there, check the box and you've got a limited amount of time, well, you have to work with that. But for those who can allow themselves a couple months, and then you say, well, I really would have liked to have got the Alaska Northern Lights, but geez, we got to get back in August because the weather's starting to get a little colder. If you can't stay to a little bit of September, you will probably miss those Northern Lights.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things on my list. I'm so excited about it. I was actually dreaming of it last night. So some of the things that you want to think about when you go is how long you have, some of the things that are going to hold you back, whether it's a limitation of funds or time. So once you plan everything out, you're going to go ahead and set up a list of things to do and places and resources that you have available. One of those resources, of course, is going to be road conditions. And how would they check that?
Well, first off, it's not all gravel and potholes. The roads are mostly good. There are some places where there are some ice freezes, and they're normally very well marked there. So if it's caused a bulge in the road, watch out for those. And there'll be some spots where, yeah, it does have gravel. On some of the roads, it might be 40, 50 miles or more. So just prepare to have some extra time, and Don't go when it's during the winter season, of course, because you're on your own then. Remember, this is up there getting towards the North Pole. You are in Alaska. And here's a state that's as big as the entire western United States. So it does take a while to get from place to place. So remember that have plenty of fuel. Now, there's a lot of places to get fuel as you're going up there. But don't shortchange yourself and say, well, oh, I think we'll be fine, and then pull over for hours running the engine and have some mountains to go over, and all of a sudden you're running on fumes.
One of the things you have available to you, same as we do down here in the States, is 511 Alaska. That's great for updates. I think what Michael was talking about on the road conditions in Alaska, they call it ice heaves, was it called?
Heaves, yeah, Heaves.
For those of you not from the northern latitudes, this video will show you what frost heaves are.
There's also Facebook groups that get started where you can get up-to-the-date statuses of what's happening and the road conditions.
And basically, too, don't forget Google. I mean, you're not going to have cell service in all of Alaska. Sorry about that. Now, AT&T service is very good on a lot of the area. You may need a second carrier, or you're out in the boonies, you may not see any cell service for 20, 30 miles or more, even with a wee boost. So consider that. But yeah, your Google Maps in terms of the time it takes to get from city to city is generally very good.
I might have to rethink this. No cell phone service? Okay, well, I don't know how we're going to stay connected, but there's so many different plans that you can make in advance to make sure that your networks don't fail you or that you have a backup to your backup plan. So there's a lot of different websites to help you. There's a lot of different groups that help you. So you definitely want to plan ahead. I think we're looking at 2019. I'm looking forward to being able to boondock almost anywhere, because if it's not marked that you can't boondock, that means you can boondock.
When July of 2019 comes, yeah, we're looking forward to going in July, August, and probably some of September also in Alaska, and it should be a great trip. And if we can travel with some others, go with some other people who know the ropes, and you'll have a good time seeing the sights.
Definitely, and you're going to have a long day to see those sights because it is summertime. So one of the things you may want to plan is getting some blackout liners along the way. That way, if you're sensitive to the light, you may only get about 4 hours of not even really dark, but where it's not as light outside. So we have a big day ahead, and we might not even know what time it is.
And by the way, websites such as Facebook or some of the special interest groups can certainly give you a lot of good information. And have hard copies. You know, when you don't have cell service out there, you better at least have GPS. But if you have your Alaska Atlas, and when you go to these cities, all of the visitor centers will be happy to give you free maps.
Be sure to get your Milepost magazine.
You have one each year. We haven't got it yet. We're going to wait till it gets a little closer so we get the most current one. But that will be a godsend in terms of not only what happens at each milepost, but each city, what to see, and to know the ropes of Alaska.
Exactly. And some of the things you're going to want to consider as well is who you're traveling with. Are you taking children? Are you taking pets? Michael and I have Kaliki, so some of the very valuable information was, and I hadn't actually even thought about this, is because you are crossing a border into another country, you're going to want to make sure that you have a health check within 30 days for your pet, that they are vaccinated, that they've had their rabies shots. So before you cross that border, you want to have that in order. And speaking of borders, we did learn a little bit about that.
Shh, don't tell anybody this. This is our secret. But if you're going to a border crossing in a big city, expect a lot more scrutiny.
Develop a creative vocabulary. Don't be in a rush to explain every detail about the goods you're bringing with you, but know the risks of incomplete disclosure.
Whereas if you're going across the border in a small border town, you know, they're maybe going to want to talk to you, find out where you're coming from, going to, a couple laughs, maybe tell some jokes, and, you know, off you go.
Don't try to be funny. Border guards are not your friends, and it's highly unlikely they moonlight as talent scouts for comedy clubs. This is the wrong moment to make a buddy or tell jokes. Stay respectful and succinct, and save the compliments for the drive away from the checkpoint.
Whereas if you're going to the big cities, they may decide that they want to take a look through your RV. Yeah, be careful. You should know that the fruits that you have, they may not want to go across the country crossing.
6. Don't sweat it. Don't act suspiciously. Don't drive too quickly or slowly up to the checkpoint. Don't decide you need to change your clothes or stretch your legs or dump your trash once you're in line. Don't rustle through your belongings while the guard is questioning you. Save the M&Ms for later. Think ahead and take care of everything that you need to well before you arrive at the border.
How about ammunition?
Well, that's very interesting because you can take what was referred to as a long gun. I think that's probably a rifle. They're not as, they don't scrutinize that as much. But if you are taking a handgun, you're going to want to ship that. Where do they ship it to? Do you remember?
You go through your official gun dealers, the shops, and have that go to another one in Alaska. You have some paperwork goes with it. As far as your long guns, your rifles, if you have your paperwork with it ahead of time, you give it to them right there at the border crossing, you're probably going to be fine. When you're in Canada, don't rush through it. I mean, I was thinking that we were just going to chop and we'll be up in Alaska, but as they say, the best part of Alaska is spending time in Canada. So if you want to see the bears, we've heard anyway, we'll see if that's true, you see a lot more bears in Canada than Alaska, unless you're in Denali Park, or if you're going to when they're running down the river, you can take a look and see what the latest is. But certain months when the salmon are running, the bears are there in plenty. Okay, as far as what the sights are to see, there are so many. Where would we start? We mentioned Denali. The top of the world is certainly a great road to see from what we've heard. If you have some of the money to go ahead and see some of the different sites, some of the different tours, maybe you'll want to go on a helicopter ride. Maybe you'll want to take a day trip with a tour group. Maybe it'll even be overnight. Maybe you want to spend some time on the waterways or the like. So you can go ahead and pay full retail if you want to, but there's a couple books. One is called Tour Savers. The other is called Northern Lights. And if you're going to be spending $1,000 plus, and there's two of you, you can save up to half the cost by getting these books.
Well, I'll tell you a little secret that I do, because one of the tours that we went on in Alaska was a photo tour. They took us to some of those epic sites where we got great shots of the icebergs and such. But what I always do when I'm in a town is I Google best photos or best photo locations in blank. And then that way I'll look at the images and I'll see what's there and what's available. And then I'll say, that's where I want to go. Free!
And speaking of which, we consult the Book of Knowledge all the time, Wikipedia. So yeah, let the Google searches, Wikipedia and the like, be your friend. And if you want to go ahead and take a look, maybe you'll find something on Yelp. I don't think you'll find much on 4 stars, but reviews are always a great place to get additional information. And of course, other YouTubes,
Yes.
Consult those, especially when it comes to like something like, say, for bears. Maybe you're a little bit spooked by bears. So know how to go ahead and when to see them and keep safe distances from them, moose, and the like.
I would say, too, you always want to be ready for the adventure, because that adventure can happen anytime you open your door, like it was in Courtside with the balloons just lifting off. Always be ready. Always be prepared to just enjoy your journey, I think. I think the biggest part, that quote-unquote, it's not the destination. It's about the journey. So we definitely recommend that you have a good time.
And speaking of which, tell us about what you think about your journey and how you can help us with our journey. We'd love to get some tips from you. We've got another year. We're going to do a lot more anticipation, which is always one of the great parts of getting ready for a trip. So we're looking forward to getting some coaching from you all. So if you've got some ideas, please put them on the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.
Right. Definitely want to hear about your favorite places, the places that we shouldn't miss, why we don't want to miss it. Let us know in the comments below. Hit the subscription, hit the bell. Hang out with us. Let's plan a tour.
Good. Okay, well, thanks a lot for coming along today. I hope you enjoyed the talk. We really enjoyed going with Pau Hana Travels and Landmark Adventures. And so until then, we'll see you soon at another California Travel Videos Theater near you.
And just one more little thing. I want to give a shout out here to Paul Everett's RV coaches. Coaches? Coaches.
Right. Uh-huh.
Thank you for the t-shirts that they gave us. Thank you to our fellow escapers. We had a blast and look forward to seeing you next year in Quartzsite.
Until then, have a great day and we'll see you again soon. Happy trails.
Bye.
Bye.
Have you been to California? Seen the sights and people there?